Well, for more on that story, we're joined by Abdul Alim Musa, Imam of Washington's Masjid al-Islam. Mr. Musa, thank you for joining us on Press TV's World News. The world has ignored the killing and displacement of Muslims in Myanmar. What does that tell you?
Bismillah ar-Rahman this problem shows us such things as the UN, who's in Syria now, the UN that was so worried about Libya, the UN that's so worried about everything except, let's say, number one, the uprising in Saudi Arabia. Number two, the eastern provinces of Saudi Arabia. Now, this problem in Burma or Myanmar, for these people have been going on, I know myself, for 30 years, maybe even longer. But it shows that if it's not a concern of the West or its institutions, it's not a concern for the rest of the people. Now, even the Muslims around the world are not speaking out on behalf for Muslims, who are a small minority. What it shows us is that the life and value of the family, the people's culture and heritage is not important unless it's wrapped around what's valuable to the West, or oil or gold or some other resources. Another thing to pay close attention to is that for several decades now, Aung San Suu Kyi has been clamoring for civil rights and human rights in Myanmar herself. But soon as she ascends to power, she's given the Nobel Prize. She had been given it, but she just received it recently. She herself has not spoken out at all. She has not jeopardized her position. She's not challenged her people to rise up and for them to give the same civil and human rights to people that she had been crying for all of this time. The main thing it shows us that we Muslims around the world, and we're proud of Iran and Turkey for standing up, but we have to, the whole Muslim community, have to stand up for the rights of other Muslims, whether it's Hazars, Pakistan, whether it's the Shia in Arabia and in Bahrain. We have to stand up for the rights of Muslims all over the world.
Well, Mr. Ali Musa, one thing you mentioned is not concern of the West, and that I want to piggyback on that. It comes to my second question. There are nearly 1 million human beings who continue to suffer in the absence of media coverage. What makes Myanmar's Muslims different for Western media and governments when it comes to human rights?
Well, as far as what makes a difference is human rights that haven't even been given its own people human rights. But what makes a difference is that the same people who have been clamoring for human rights themselves all of this time, from the military dictatorship, now that they have some seats in parliament, now that they have some international recognition, they refuse to give the same thing to others. And what happened is they consider most of them as illegal aliens, as people that maybe cross the border, or they're trying to say like they're considered like Mexicans are considered in the United States, not full citizens and what have you. So they seem to have no value. That is because we don't give them value. We have to give value to our own people. That will force the rest of the world to give value to them. As long as we do not give value to our own people and to humanity, we as Muslims should stand up for justice and the rights of human beings all over the world. But especially the Mustadafin, the weak, the
Okay.
deprived.
Well, Mr. Ali Musa, I do
immigrant.
apologize. We have run out of time. Abdul Alim Musa, Imam of Washington's Masjid al-Islam, joining us and giving us perspectives, that is, on the situation with the Muslims occurring in Myanmar.